forward. That's something that many of your classmates are not taking the advantage of doing. So I'm encouraged to see that. Not so much a lesson or, you know, a class presentation this evening. So it's going to be as good as you guys make it. Karen, obviously, for those of you that have had an opportunity to hear her speak before, is very engaging, very personality oriented, but it requires active participation in her presentation. So please get involved. Opportunity for you guys to ask questions of the four of us at the end. So come up with some entertaining questions, and we'll try to make something up for you guys at the end. So with that, a little bit about my background. Most of you guys know who I am. Again, my name is Stanley Adams. I fly for Compass Airlines. Graduated the University of North Dakota. Flight instructed here for about 2.5 years, CFI, II, MEI. My senior year was offered an internship with Base and Electric Power down in Bismarck, North Dakota, flying their Citation Encore, King Air 200, and a Turbo 210. At the end of my internship, I got hired at Pinnacle Airlines, the original Northwest Airlink. Company was experiencing tremendous growth. The opportunity to upgrade came in about a year, and I flew there as a captain for a little over 2 years. Decided I wanted to kind of expand my horizons a little bit. The opportunity presented itself to fly internationally with a company called North American Airlines. Flew for them for about 5 years on the 757 and 767, primarily military transport around the world. Unfortunately, that company declared bankruptcy, furloughed about 46 of us. I was 3 from the top of the furlough number, but was out of work for about 6 months. Knew that I needed to get back in the industry, and thankfully Compass hired me, where I've been the first officer for the last 1.5 years. So excited to talk to you guys tonight. Again, active participation. Come up with some questions at the end for us. So with that, I'll introduce Lori Thomasson. She flies for Piedmont Airlines. Give her a chance to introduce herself and share a little bit of her background.
I'm Lori Thomasson. I also graduated from UND back in 2002. After graduation, I went to Rochester, Minnesota, did flight instruction and some charter work out of there. And then in 2004, I got hired at Piedmont Airlines, where I currently am still. Been in 4 bases there with a variety of base closures and openings, and currently commute to Fargo, North Dakota, and have been for about 8 years now. Been in the left seat now for approximately 2 years. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask or anything I can help with.
Mr. Dave Barnes.
Good to see everybody. Recognize a few of you. I visited 2 classes today. I'm David Barnes, also UND grad. I started just after the floods in '97, graduated in 2001. My senior year, I was a part-time flight instructor, and just like Stan, CFI, II, MEI. Taught for 3.5 years when my wife was getting her master's degree. I got hired with Air Wisconsin in June of 2004. At the time, we were United Express, so out of Grand Forks, my first base was Chicago O'Hare, a little bit different. Then through the airline industry, it's always changing. We now fly as U.S. Airways Express. We have 71 CRJ-200 aircraft. I've been at Air Wisconsin for 9.5 years, been a captain for about 6.5 years. With UND, like with Stan, I come back from time to time. I'm also on the UND Aerospace Alumni Advisory Board. Some of the board members that comes back. We had our biannual meeting last week, and this place is going in the right direction. You guys should be very happy to be here. So, congrats on getting in, and this is a great opportunity to be here tonight. So, thanks for coming.
I'm already putting Stanley to work. He's my wingman. I fly a multi-million-dollar airplane, but am I any good on the computer? Not really. Okay, this is the airplane I fly. Airbus 330. Well, just under 300 passengers with 10 to 12 flight attendants. So I graduated from UND back in 1982, a while ago. Double major and minor, flew for Schwann's Ice Cream, and I like to tell everybody I flew for Schwann's about 20 pounds ago. It was a very fun job. I flew the executives around, and they would drag me around to all the taste testing. and I loved it. It was great. Then I flew fishing charters, got my seaplane rating, and then I worked for US Air commuter out in Pennsylvania. And then at age 23, I got hired at Republic Airlines. So that was 28 years ago. So don't be doing the math, trying to figure out how old I am. So right now, a 330 captain. I was on the 320 just before this. DC-9, flew the Airbus 320 as a first officer, the DC-9 and the Condor 580, which is a big turboprop, 48 passengers. I did 8 years of interviewing pilots at Northwest Airlines, and now I'm interviewing pilots at Delta. And I'm very pleased to say that I just got back from Atlanta this morning, and I just did 2 days of interviewing pilots on our first round. This is our second or third week of interviewing pilots, and I'm here to tell you, it's starting. We are hiring like crazy, and I don't see it stopping, because they've got us trained to interview pilots for the next 15 to 20 years. So what that means for you guys is nothing but great things. We have military guys coming in, commuter pilots coming in, corporate pilots coming in. It's all good, bring them. And I am having a blast with this. So,
Yeah, just basically, it's not official yet. The official number at Delta is 300 pilots next year. There's extremely strong rumors that that number is going to be doubled to 600 for the next 10 years.
Yep.
So 6,000 pilots over the next 10 years at Delta, with 7,000 pilots retiring. And the only reason that they're stopping at 600 is the limitation of the classroom.
exactly. We have just under 12,000 pilots. 10 years from now, half of us are going to be gone. We're kind of an older pilot group. And so what I'm doing right now is hiring my replacements. And they're very competitive, but you're all going to be there. So what I'm going to do now is help you here with a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the interview. And go right ahead and take notes, take pictures of some of the slides. Because you might see this on an interview, and if it's not for Delta, it could be for United, American, Sun Country. Everybody's hiring. So our job at Delta is to grab all the good people before they get them. We don't. Yeah, I mean, everybody's out there grabbing for the best qualified people. So if you're flying right now, you're in a good spot to be in. All right, I want you to read this. This is from Captain Al Haynes, and you guys are all pretty young, but this is the United Captain Flight 232 that landed the DC-10 in Sioux City, Iowa, and he is the pinnacle example of what a good leader, a good captain should be. So your homework is to YouTube this, Google it, and learn about this flight, because what he did with his crew is a miracle that they all didn't perish. So I want you to look at that later. So I think the takeaway here is just remember that we all make mistakes. We all need each other. You know, just because I'm the captain doesn't mean that I'm carrying the airplane on my back. I'm taking the 80,000 employees that I work with at Delta to help me finish every one of my flights. Because if you think about it, one of the interview questions I asked yesterday is, who's the most important person on a flight? If you're buying a ticket, Stanley, and you are at home and you buy your ticket online, and then you go to the gate and get your boarding pass, and then you go through security, and you check your luggage, and you get on the airplane, and the flight attendant gives you a cocktail, and then you meet the captain. Who's the most important person of that flight? Okay, well, that's a great answer, okay? The customer is the most important person because they are paying for you to be here, okay? But it certainly isn't the captain, because I can't do anything unless I've got everybody that helps me get this flight off. So if the baggage person loses your bag, the only thing you're going to remember about that flight is that your bag is lost. or if the flight attendant spills a drink on you, you're gonna remember that. So you gotta have everybody working together with you to get the successful flight out. All right, so it's a little bit about what we talked about. I would be the leader, the captain, okay? The company gives me the authority to make the hard decisions. Hopefully I have the skills to fly the airplane, and the resources are my co-pilot, my flight attendant, my mechanic, my gate agent, my reservation person. So I take all those tools and I put my crew coordination together, and that's how I make my decision. I don't do it alone. All right, this is where we're gonna have some interaction. What characteristics, qualities would you list to describe the perfect pilot? The perfect pilot that I wanna have sitting across from me at the interview. So, let's just throw out some descriptive words about what you think the United American wants to hire. And of course, you know I'm gonna pick on you, Dave Forbes.
Someone who is enthusiastic or ready to lead the way.
Enthusiastic, right. I want him to be fun. If I'm trapped with them in a cockpit for 12 days, because I fly to Africa on 12-day trips, if you're not fun and interesting and have a good enthusiastic attitude, I'm gonna be bored to tears, and I don't wanna deal with that. I don't wanna look out the window. There's nothing to look at.
You guys have heard me talk about it before. You know, we assume by the time you get to the application phase that you're a good pilot. We can see
Yeah.
that on your resume. Truly what the application and what the interview process is testing is whether they can stand sitting next to you in this little tube flying 400 miles an hour, hurtling through the sky.
Exactly. So enthusiasm. What else?
Sincerity.
Sincerity. Great.
Flexibility.
Flexibility. Yep. That's huge. That's huge because here's another example. We had a practice interview with a young express jet pilot, and he was really excited to be practiced on because we, as interviewers, we had to practice on some young people that were actually not being interviewed, but we were practicing on them. And we gave him a scenario, and he gave us what he would do, but he wasn't flexible. He thought, well, if I change my mind, then it's going to sound like I'm wishy-washy. So he didn't change his mind. Well, you as a captain or a first officer, you have to be flexible, and as more information comes to you, you'll have to go, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, flexible, change your mind. Okay, what else?
Confident.
Confident. Yep, what else?
It's a pretty short list, guys.
I'm gonna give you some some visual aids.
Professional.
Professional. You gotta walk the walk, talk the talk, look the look. You know, because if I show up really shabbily dressed, my shoes aren't shined, I got, you know, snags in my blazer, then the image that I'm projecting is I'm a sloppy pilot. You know, I'm not going to be very professional in my flying as well. You had that.
Integrity.
Integrity, great, yep. Professional,
Passionate about flying.
yep, yeah. Don't ever lose that love and feeling, that magic feeling of flying, okay? Because, you know, that's why we're here. I mean, how many people can say, I love my job? I love my job. My job is so cool. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, well, you guys did pretty good. Let's see what else is on the list. Okay, we got professionalism, judgment, think clearly, initiative, do things. This is good. Do things that need to be done without being asked. So, you know, if Stanley and I are flying together and he can see that I am just doing everything, well, I would like it for him to just pick up and go run up to the gate agent and say, stop the boarding, or do this or do that, so that I'm not just overloaded. That's what first officers do and captains do too. They help each other out. Decisive, make good decisions without delay. But I want to clarify this too. In an emergency, what we tell our pilots to do, first thing, sit on your hands. Because you don't want to make a rapid decision that's going to be incorrect. So think about your problem, and what we do is we go through this little acronym called Fly the Airplane, Sir. F is somebody better be flying. And usually what happens is the captain says, you have the airplane, you have the radios. Captain now is in judgment mode. I will then figure out what's wrong. So the S for sir is silence the bell, because if it's ding, 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 the bell's going off, I can't think. So silence the oral warning, identify the problem, and read the checklist. That will always, usually, get you out of trouble. So just don't forget to fly the airplane. Integrity, somebody said that. Do the right thing even when nobody's looking. Enthusiasm, somebody said that. Unselfish, be considerate, and give credit for other people's efforts. So Stanley, if you make a fabulous landing, I'm going to give you credit. I want to take the credit. But you know what? You did it. So know your job knowledge and be loyal to your company. Be proud of your company and take care of each other. Empathy, put yourself in their shoes. Last winter, there was a blizzard. I'm sitting up there in my nice comfy 330, all nice and snuggly. The board dog driver's out there freezing his buns off, okay? So, you know, don't screw around. Just get your pushback done, give them the wave off so they can get in there and finish the end of the Vikings football game. You know, priorities. Endurance, finish everything to the best of your abilities, and be emotionally stable. There's no reason to overreact, to be a yeller. Show maturity, and if you screw up, admit it, because you're going to have credibility. It humanizes you. So if you make a bad decision, I have a perfect example. I was a brand new captain on the DC-9, and I was going into Rochester, Minnesota, and they cleared me for a visual approach, and they said, hey, Northwest 125, it looks like we're changing runways. You're cleared now straight in for runway 12. So now I'm high, I'm fast, but I'm cool and I'm good and I'm gonna make this. So I got everything hanging out, I got the speed brakes out, all the flaps, the landing gear, and I'm diving for the runway. But am I stabilized? No. No. And so I landed, I made it, but I wasn't stable, and I landed long, and I screeched on the brakes, and I pull off the runway, and I tell my co-pilot, oh my God, that was terrible. Don't ever let me do that again. But I'm telling you, I screwed up, and I don't want you to use, you know, that as a good role model of how it should be done. And the poor co-pilot who was new says, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I was new and I didn't know what to say. And I said, well, I'm here to tell you right now, you got to say something, because there's morons like me that'll do that to you. So don't let us get away with it. Okay.
And that's where that confidence of your own ability and your own skills and knowing what's right and wrong as far as the ethics and the integrity that we've been preaching.
Mm-hmm.
So stand up to that captain, say, hey, captain, you know, that was kind of a bonehead move.
Yep.
So, and don't let it get to that point either.
Right. Try to be proactive and stop it. Identify. So what expectations do your fellow employees and customers have of you as a leader? So if I'm walking up to the gate and you're a passenger and you're just sitting there eating your Chick-fil-A and I come walking up, what do you expect? What do you want out of your pilot? Okay, you want those qualities that we talked about. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Safety conscious.
Yeah. Okay. Anything we haven't mentioned?
Team player.
Great. Team player. Yeah. Receptive? Yeah.
Being able to like be approached and you can come and talk to them about the situation.
Right. Approachable. Because you're my customer, right? Okay. Absolutely. So I I should show you common courtesy. You know, I am the captain, you are paying my bills. I'm not gonna be rude. I should be confident, you know, be professional in my appearance. And then a good communicator. You know, if we're late, I should make a PA and let you know, because I hate that, being trapped in the tube and not knowing what's going on. So we're supposed to tell everybody at least 15 minutes updates on PAs.
A good rule of thumb is just start the clock. When
Yeah.
it reaches 15 minutes, if we haven't done something, we need to reset the clock. That's our trigger to pick up that PA, give an update to the passenger. How many of you guys have been on commercial flights just sitting in the back going, looking at your watch, what in the world's going on, right? So how much confidence does that instill as you as a passenger and your crew? Are they just up there playing Tetris? Or, you know,
Yeah, right.
staring out the window, counting the geese? I don't.
You keep your passengers informed, it's amazing, like, man, no one's ever told me what's going on, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Say that again.
Sorry. When you talk to your passengers, just keep them updated. Some might seem pretty simple to do. It's amazing the compliments, like, wow, no one's ever kept us updated, you know? Sure, we were number 13 in line for de-icing, we're, you know, running out of water, whatever, but just keep everyone in the loop, and that's great for the customers to hear that. And that's how you get the loyalty.
And it helps de-escalate situations too. When you keep your passengers informed, you're not going to have a passenger that's demanding to go back to the gate because you haven't talked to them. So,
Yeah. By the way, that list of characteristics that make a perfect pilot, those characteristics are also taken directly out of the Navy SEAL handbook. So, you know, I've been working out. The same stuff. You know, it's not just for pilots. What expectations does Delta have of us as captain leaders? Pretty much the same stuff, but I just want to go over it because if you're the captain, your company is expecting a lot out of you because you are who they go to when there's a problem on the airplane. Leadership professional, you've seen this before. We've got to be positive and engage our customers and our internal customers, which happen to be our fellow employees. Because if we don't take care of them and we don't treat them with respect, we're not going to get anything from them when we really need them. I certainly, you know, if Stanley's my flight attendant, I want to, you know, treat them as an equal and certainly don't diminish their self-worth.
why do you think it's important to treat your flight attendants with professionalism and treat them as you would expect them to treat you? Yeah.
I think it's a crew environment. I mean, essentially, you are all working towards one common goal, and that is conducting a flight safely. In the event of an emergency, the flight attendants have a very essential role as to the pilots. So it's just a good crew resource.
Great answer. Let's go a step further. Why are flight attendants important?
However you treat them, they're going to, that's what you reflected to the customer through them. So if they like just receive like crappy information or crappy attitude from the captain, then you're gonna give that to the customers.
Great.
Yep.
Great answer.
Yep.
And vice versa, they're the ones responding to customers, so if they're stuck bolting, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna have to deal with it, and only you're gonna hear their job involved.
Great.
Straight from the
Think about it. We as pilots get to close the door, right? So we don't interact with our passengers. Our flight attendants do. They're our eyes and ears back there. If something's going on, we need them to effectively communicate the situation to us, right? So if we're not effectively communicating to them, what kind of attitude do they have as far as providing us with timely and accurate information?
Yep. I have a great story about this, since we're talking about it. It's a true story that happened to me. I was brand new first officer. The captain I was flying with was old school, so he was kind of a rough around the edges kind of guy, and he did not know our lead flight attendant. So he made a sexually inappropriate remark to the flight attendant. Now his best buddy was on the jump seat, and they laughed. Okay, so the flight attendant now hears this remark, and she is not one bit happy about it. They are yucking it up thinking, oh, they're the coolest dudes ever. So she leaves and slams the door, and, you know, we don't see her, and I don't get a cup of coffee, and now I'm mad at him. All right, so now, what's wrong with that picture? You're gonna take off and fly a leg. You have no idea what's going on with her mindset. So why is that a bad thing? She's not focused. She's upset. All she's thinking about is, you know, she's burning and churning with what a jerk that guy is. And not to mention, I'm thinking the same thing, okay, because these two are laughing. So what I did is I excused myself. I went to the bathroom, and I talked to her, and I says, hey, did what Ralph said bother you? And she says, yes, he drives me crazy. I'm just so furious, I don't want to have any interaction with him at all. Well, that's terrible, because if there's an emergency, there's no conduit to communication between the cockpit and the flight attendants. So I said, listen, I'm with you. He was out of line. If you need anything, or if there's a problem back here, talk to me. I'm going to tell Ralph he was out of line, and we'll work it. We'll work it that way. She goes, okay, that's fine. So I come back and I go, Ralph, holy smokes, are you in trouble? You better apologize to Luann, because in an emergency, she's not going to be there for you. She can't stand you right now. And by the way, if you don't apologize, you're probably going to have to see a lawyer. So Ralph's like, what? So anyway, I'm just telling you, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it on the job. All right, has anyone challenged your authority? So, yeah, go ahead and put that slide. What's nice about being a captain? Yeah. Don't sweat it. And I tell my husband this too. It kind of works at home. He's not sure he's on board with that one, but so if you got an argument, you just listen. You listen to everybody's problem, let them vent, and usually will work itself out as long as you don't engage in that same bad temperament, and just kind of calm down, let them tell you their problem, and then this is what you do if you do get in an argument. Conflict resolution. Here's some tips. Don't ignore it. Just the facts, ma'am. Don't make it personal or take it personal. Do it privately. So don't ever do it in front of fellow crew members, because you'll embarrass them or you may embarrass yourself. Just talk to them privately. And remain professional. And you'll usually, this doesn't just work in the cockpit, it works at home too, it works at school. This is